OBSBOT Tiny 2, Logitech MX Brio 4K, OBSBOT Meet 2, and the original Insta360 link. Hey everyone, welcome back to seifbuys. I'm Saif, and today I wanted to walk you through the best webcam in 2025, 2026. I watched a lot of video reviews on this, at least 40 hours worth watching at 2x, 3x speed. I also have tested these out myself after I assembled my shortlist, and I will give you the conclusion up front here to hopefully save you some time, and you can let me know any questions you have in the comments below. With any product line these days, there's always absolutely insane amount of options, and so I hope to make this video to save you some time, let you know what is the best right up front. Please note that this video is sponsored by OBSBOT. However, they don't get a say in what I do or do not say here. I bought these other webcams on my own. OBSBOT sent the OBSBOT ones. My opinions here are my own, and I'm the one who insisted I want to compare it to other products because I don't find a video useful unless someone tells me how it compares to everything else that's out there. And I couldn't run off of just what people were saying in video reviews. I had to try out things for myself because, quite frankly, I feel like a lot of people, they ramble on about stuff that doesn't really matter. If you're on the fence about getting a webcam, the main reason I wanted to get a webcam is if you're in your office space, which is also your living room, which is also your kitchen in a small condo like me, the background can oftentimes be messed up. You might have people walking around if you live with someone. Mine's just like, this is the only presentable space here. And so I don't want the camera when I'm using my MacBook Pro camera to be looking at giving people the whole kitchen and living room and whatever is going on back there. I want them to focus in on this corner. And so that's why I went on a webcam search in the beginning. And all of these webcams, I'm happy to report, allow you to basically adjust the angle at which your camera is pointing. So I can be using my monitor here, I can put the camera up here on the top left, and then I can put the zoom screen over here on the top left as well. And then when I am looking at them, I'm looking directly at them. And then if they ask me to pull something, maybe I'm about to share a screen, I need to prepare something, I can have it over here. I can have it, there's also a MacBook app called Magnet, allows me to like tile stuff to the corners of the screen, so I can be working on the same screen and be able to make eye contact with them directly on the left-hand side of the screen. And that is just invaluable. Being able to maintain eye contact on a call changes the whole vibe of the call, changes the whole interaction in my experience. And there's a lot of weird devices that you can get to try and maintain eye contact that are overly convoluted. Really, your best solution is getting any one of these webcams, slap it on the top, get Magnet or whatever app to be able to automatically and quickly tile your zoom window. And so it sizes to the top left corner. And then whenever you want to look at them, you're looking directly at them, and you're not losing your screen real estate at the same time, so you can still be productive and helpful to the call at the same time. That's the main reason I wanted a webcam. However, once I started playing around with these webcams, I noticed a lot of things that basically the MacBook Pro webcam doesn't offer, and that's what we'll dive into right now. I will give you the conclusion up front, and then I'll dive into pros and cons of each of these webcams later on in the video with chapter markers. Conclusion up front, price is no object. The best webcam is the OBSBOT Tiny 2. You might be like, that's convenient. This video is sponsored by OBSBOT, and his favorite webcam is the OBSBOT camera. And that is not why I'm saying this is the best. I will tell you right now why I think it's the best. This is the one with the biggest camera sensor, so it does the best in low light. However, what it mainly has going for it is the voice control feature, so I can tell it to sleep if I'm in my kitchen, if I'm in the living room. Regardless of how far I am from my work desk setup, I can see that the camera's on. I can just say sleep Tiny, and then it just goes to sleep. It looks away, and now I don't have to worry about, oh, is my camera on, is it off? I don't know. Hi Tiny. Sleep Tiny. That is a game changer in day-to-day use, just being able to do that on and off. And then in between meetings, I'm just like, hi Tiny, and then it just wakes up automatically, remembering the last position I set it to. That is awesome. And then finally, the main benefit here you're gonna get with OBSBOT over all the other cameras, and it's not just for this one, but this one's the one that does it the best, is the beauty effects. So you might be like, oh, I'm pretty confident as I am, but trust me, once you try out different looks here on the OBSBOT cam, you might see a certain look that you prefer, even if it's just a certain different filter, like a certain color science that they're using that you just find looks a lot better. However, this one gives you as much customization as the Skyrim selector. So if you're considering plastic surgery or anything like that, you can get a very good sense of what you would look like with this OBSBOT Tiny 2. And you can do so on Zoom, on Microsoft Teams, on whatever, with virtually no lag. And it looks very realistic in the sense that nobody's gonna think you have a filter applied or anything like that. Perfect example is I was on a client call. I had the blue contact lenses feature turned on here on the OBSBOT Tiny 2. He said I looked kind of American, and he said, whereas I usually looked Asian, he said, are you wearing contacts or something? And notice how he didn't say, do you have a filter applied or something? He was like, are you wearing contacts? And that's because it looks very convincing when you apply the effect. It looks like that's naturally what your face is. It doesn't look like you have some sort of a gimmicky thing applied. And that's mainly why you would even want to invest in any of these webcams. For example, with the whole background thing, being able to adjust the angle, you might be like, I could just apply a fake background, but that just doesn't look very professional. It looks kind of weird in my opinion. I just don't like using fake backgrounds, and I don't like using too much background blur. So that's why I wanted to be able to adjust the angle, which is what brought me on this whole webcam journey to begin with. But anyway, the fact that he said, are you wearing contacts or something like that, that speaks in and of itself that this thing is very convincing. And it's because the AI modifications it's doing, I believe it's doing it on device using some sort of a chip. Compared to these other ones here, some of these have beauty effects. I think the Insta360 does, but it doesn't work anywhere near as good on Zoom and Microsoft Teams, because in between the scaling down of the image for Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all of that, the whatever software processing the Insta360 does, it just falls apart. The image starts to look noisy, it starts to look weird. This one, it looks as good with beauty effects, like in terms of the overall resolution of the image, the overall quality of everything you're seeing, as when you're not using any beauty effects. So this is the only one. I mean, OBSBOT is the only company that's for some reason able to do that currently. And I know why that reason is, actually, because if you go on any of these companies' websites, Insta360 clearly isn't primarily a webcam company. Neither is Logitech, not by a long shot. My chair is literally the Herman Miller Logitech chair, and so is my mouse and keyboard. So Logitech isn't focusing on webcams neither. The only company whose bread and butter is webcams is OBSBOT, and it really shows with regards to the features and functions and their price competitiveness in terms of the amount of features and functions they're able to offer you per dollar is a lot higher with OBSBOT than these other companies, at least currently. That's why these OBSBOT cameras are head and shoulders above the rest. Even if you're not planning on applying beauty effects, the image straight out the box on the OBSBOT, I prefer the color science. I prefer the way the image looks out of this Tiny 2 over all the others. It's just at $299, I don't know, for something you're going to be using day in, day out for your primary way of earning money, I don't think it's asking a lot. At least, I don't know. I like to spend on tech, so maybe I'm just weird like that. And that's why I started this channel to begin with. Also, something to note with all of these webcams and when you're buying quality products like this in general is they never go to zero. You're always able to sell them for a salvage value. In the case of most of these, you'll probably be able to sell them for at least 100 US dollars, or at least I think I can, depending obviously on how much it costs for each of these. And at $299, I don't doubt like a year or two in, I'd be able to sell it for at least 100. And so it never really goes to zero when you're buying quality. So that's another reason I like to just buy the best. But yeah, best, price is no object, best overall, OBSBOT Tiny 2 for sure, no contest. If you are more price conscious, I would recommend actually a camera that is not on here currently, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite gives you the gimbal functionality, gives you 4K image quality, still a very high quality sensor. The sensor that's basically the sensor size that's in this Insta360 Link 2. And I believe the one that's in this Logitech. The Logitech, I don't know. I just really don't like the image quality in general, but even if the sensor is good. So yeah, OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite, if you are more price conscious, but you still want all the bells and whistles, I would definitely go for that one. It might even be virtually as good as this OBSBOT Tiny 2, but without the voice control. Like that's the primary difference I think I'm gonna notice with the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite versus this. But I know the sensor here is larger. Low light quality is gonna be better here if you are filming in bad light, but I imagine most of us for Zoom and Microsoft Teams, you're in a well-lit room, you're trying to focus. So that's why I would say you could save over $100 there. Yeah, over $100 by going for the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite and not losing out on any of the significant features, save for the voice control, which I think is very useful, at least for waking it up and going to sleep, like literally just that, versus doing so in the app. Otherwise, you're just going to the app and you're clicking pause or resume. And then the most budget-friendly one, I would say if you don't care for 4K image quality, you're not going to apply any beauty effects or anything like that, I would definitely say the OBSBOT Tiny SE is the best value buy if you are looking for just purely the best value for the money. 1080p, has a gimbal. You can save the presets on that one, which is something you can't do with the Meet products. Even though the OBSBOT Meet products have great video quality and everything like that, the main pitfall here with these Meet products that makes it hard for me to recommend them is that you can't save what the image is set at. So if you set it perfectly for one Zoom call, then you go work for a couple hours, then you come back, you had turned it off. You have to reset that exact angle and everything like that. Well, actually the angle is already set. You're basically adjusting the zoom, because I always apply a zoom, because when there's no zoom applied, they see far too much of my living room on all these cameras. So yeah, OBSBOT Tiny 2, best overall if price is no object. OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite, if you still want all the benefits of the OBSBOT Tiny 2 but no voice control. Obviously the sensor's smaller, but again, let's just focus on what most of us are going to notice here. And then OBSBOT Tiny SC, if you're not planning on applying any beauty effects or anything like that, you just want a solid sensor size, you want a gimbal functionality, and you want to be able to save the presets to different positions, depending on where you're sitting. If you're like sitting or you're standing, there's little angular adjustments that these gimbal cameras lend themselves very well to.
Hey everyone, just wanted to highlight a couple other cool things about the OBSBOT Tiny 2 and the Tiny 2 Lite is the low light performance, as well as the lack of need to have professional lighting. A lot of the video reviews out there are using sort of professional key lights and stuff like that to light themselves when they're comparing the cameras. That is not the case with most of us who are just, you know, hopping on Zoom calls, and maybe you're taking a call on the couch, maybe you're moving to a different room. We don't always have the lighting controlled. And that is where the OBSBOT Tiny 2 and Tiny 2 Lite and OBSBOT cameras in general excel. They basically, I don't know what sort of wizardry or what sort of AI magic they have built into the devices themselves, but they are able to make even the weirdest lighting conditions actually look presentable and make the image appealing. I just don't get that with the Logitech. I don't get that with the Insta360. I don't get it with any other webcam, definitely not the MacBook built-in webcam. And that is a major key selling feature here for OBSBOT. And I just really don't see how people haven't highlighted this to this degree, because the difference to me between the OBSBOT and the Insta360 and the other cameras when lighting is uncontrolled, and in general, even when lighting is controlled, is I just always prefer the OBSBOT image. And that is not, again, just because they are sponsoring this video. This is an actual real difference I'm noticing here as just a casual user, not a professional. As you can tell, this video doesn't look like it was professionally color graded or anything. I'm still learning here. And the OBSBOT is just the most user-friendly, the easiest to get a quality image out of, and an appealing image that you feel like your money went to improving the way you look, which is ultimately what we're after. I don't want to talk too much about the specs and everything. Ultimately, with as little knowledge as possible about how to get a good image, the OBSBOT can deliver the image you're looking for and can make you look as good as you want to look, and make you feel most confident on your calls, or at least that's the case for me. I'm interested to hear your opinions in the comments below if you have any of these webcams. Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying here? Because to me the difference is night and day, and I just haven't seen other reviewers out there talk about how clear of a benefit there is to using OBSBOT over the other brands. And finally, just another clear win for OBSBOT here is on the sheer degree and variety of different accessories that you can buy. Because OBSBOT is a webcam first company, you are getting the ability to have a remote if you want to control your camera via remote, or you want to do a bunch of things. OBSBOT has the most accessories for their webcams because they are primarily a webcam company. And so it is just remarkable. I honestly don't see a need for all of that. Like for me, just for my Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, all of those regular apps, the only thing I need really is the ability to modify my video, make it look the way I want to look, angle the image to my face, being able to look people directly in the eyes as I have the call, and looking my best while doing so. And that's just, OBSBOT hits that every time without all the additional accessories, but they're there if you decide you want to use this for any different thing. If you're a creator, like a YouTuber, if you decide to become a YouTuber or whatever creator, you can really leverage the OBSBOT in a bunch of different ways later on. And it also makes the secondhand market value of your OBSBOT a lot more appealing. Like there will be creators on the market looking to buy and pay good money for your OBSBOT, versus if you were to buy just a Logitech camera or the Insta360 or anything like that, where the features just aren't on par as the OBSBOT here as far as it comes to webcamming, being able to adjust the image to your liking.
If you found that useful, I will be diving into the pros and cons of the rest of these, and you will further be convinced of why OBSBOT is clearly the best option here as the video goes on. But if you just wanted the best and you're not looking to become a webcam enthusiast or anything, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you feel like subscribing. Let me know if you have any questions on any of these products in the comments below. And if you use the links in the description below, you can use the seifbuys discount code. I don't know if it's on both Amazon and OBSBOT's website, but you can get some extra money off there. I don't even know how much it is, but you'll get some amount off, and you'll also support this channel at the same time. So win-win type of scenario if you do that. And yeah, let me know if you're ending up buying a webcam at all as well in the comments below. I'm curious how many people are actually webcamming versus just using the MacBook. Now we'll dive into the pros and cons of each of these, maybe help you decide if you're still on the fence. Start off with the non-OBSBOT options, because I feel like I focused on OBSBOT a lot there in the beginning. Trust me, all my genuine opinions, they don't have a say over what I say or don't say. The Insta360 Link 2 here is only $199. I don't know about only, that's a pretty hefty price considering that I'm just gonna be adding a lot of cons here. The pros are clear. It's a great gimbal camera, gives you a very high quality image for the sensor size. It also gives you a great degree of adjustment, just like on the OBSBOT Tiny 2, and you can use the quarter thread mount. And you can use the quarter thread mount here on the bottom to maybe you just get a tripod separately and you do this. And you can do this on all of them, I believe. All except the Logitech. No, even the Logitech has it. You can literally do this on any of them. Get a tripod and just mount it wherever you want to mount it. All of these cameras, and then you can have your laptop here if you just prefer this angle for whatever reason. And yeah, this is the Insta360 thing that came with my original Insta360 Link camera. But OBSBOT has a version of this if you want to do separately or film for whatever occasion. This would also be a great like at-home camera probably. If for whatever reason you want to, I don't know if it would be good for accessing your feed online. Like, could this just be a security camera? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they're set up for that. But yeah, when you have it on a tripod, you could obviously just go vertical like that. You could do a lot of weird stuff. I don't think the people watching this really care for all that additional features, but maybe you care for the fact that you could just mount it anywhere, not on your screen, not on your MacBook, and you can still enjoy your video call. At least that's what I would care about. What else? Another pro is it's got a large mic. Honestly, in terms of mics, I'm not gonna focus on that too much here. They all sound great. Nobody's gonna complain on the mic quality on any of these. Personally, I definitely prefer the MacBook Studio. If you have a MacBook Pro, the mics on a MacBook Pro are probably gonna beat any of these, at least as far as when I asked ChatGPT in terms of quality. But if you have a Mac Mini or something like that, and you basically have no mic, the mics on these will definitely beat no mic, but they won't beat a dedicated mic. Keep that in mind with regards to mic quality for all of these. But in terms of cons, I don't know. It seems unnecessarily wide. If we look at it compared, for example, to the OBSBOT Tiny 2, which produces a better image and has more features and functions as far as I'm concerned, it just doesn't need to be that wide. The Insta360 Link 2. They use this circle to basically give you an indicator light, but OBSBOT's able to do that just without taking up extra width unnecessarily. And the same with Logitech here. It's like, why are you so wide? Like, why did they do all that width? You'd think like, oh, maybe the mics are really high quality. No, it sounds pretty much on par with even the smallest cam here, the Me Too. So yeah, I don't know. Another con here is, yeah, when you apply beauty effects and stuff like that on the Insta360 Link app, it doesn't carry over well to Zoom or Microsoft Teams. In my experience, it gets too grainy. It's virtually not usable. It's not worth it in my opinion, or at least in my experience. Let me know if you're able to get better beauty effects out of this, but I wouldn't recommend you buy it in general. Another pro I like about the Insta360 Link 2 here is the app. The Insta360 Link app is probably the best app. From a UX design standpoint, I think it's the best looking app. The OBSBOT does more though, a lot more in terms of adjustability of settings and stuff like that. It's slightly less easy to navigate than the Insta360 app, that's all I'm saying. But even someone who's non-technically affluent can navigate the OBSBOT app without issue. But if I had to look for a pro for the Insta360, that's what I would give it. Nice app, Insta360. What's another thing here? In terms of cons, I don't know. You can't really bash it other than that. If you're charging this amount, like what is it, 199 US dollars, it's gotta have the same level of beauty effects and stuff like that as the OBSBOT does in order to remain competitive, and it just doesn't. Another major pro here potentially, though I haven't tested it out, is the whiteboard feature. So if you're primarily presenting on whiteboards or stuff like that, though that isn't the audience I made this video for, it looks like it has a lot of features. Like there's stickers you could put on your whiteboard and it can zoom into the whiteboard and then zoom back to you dynamically, which is pretty cool looking. It has a desk view like all of these webcams do, as well as your MacBook Pro webcam has a desk view as well. I don't know who actually uses the desk view. Like if you're taking notes, I assume we're all just sharing our screens. But anyway, maybe for designers and stuff like that, there's an infinite array of people and use cases out there that I am unaware of. So I'm just telling you my opinion if that wasn't clear. In terms of the whiteboard functionality, the Tiny 2 also has a remote that you can buy for it, and then you can point it at your whiteboard and stuff like that. So these might be tied in terms of whiteboard functionality for what it's worth. Also, you can manually turn it off like that, which is pretty cool. But after trying out the Tiny 2's voice control, where I could just say Sleep Tiny, that's way more convenient than any of these other cameras. It's a reason I would literally go for this, hands down. Might just be the voice control on its own that would have made me go for this after experiencing it firsthand. It's just, I'm not always right beside the desk, but sometimes I see the cameras on, regardless of which camera it is, and then I'm just like, oh, I have to go all the way there, turn it off. That's not the case with this one. You just say Sleep Tiny, and then boom, from wherever you are, it goes to sleep. All right, so that's the Insta360 Link 2, great camera, but ultimately not one I would recommend. If you are considering this, I would sooner actually get the OBSBOT Meet 2, even despite the fact that it doesn't say presets, than I would the Insta360 Link 2. So let that speak for itself. And I would definitely get the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite over the Insta360 Link 2 because it's not only cheaper, but it has more features and functions, as well as better beauty effects and everything like the OBSBOT Tiny 2 has going for it, minus the voice control. So again, hard for me to recommend this product right now. Bought it with my own money. The Insta360 Link also purchased with my own money 2-3 years ago. Again, when I was dealing with the whole angle thing, I changed my desk to over here. You know, it's a sit stand desk. I thought the gimbal thing looked cool. It looks like you have a little mini robot on top of your screen. Been using it, it served me well. The app is nice. You just don't know what you're missing out on with the Insta360 until you move over to an OBSBOT webcam and you start to see there was a whole realm of adjustability and stuff like that that you weren't privy to before. That is useful in Zoom and Microsoft Teams, or at least for me personally, I noticed the benefit there. But yeah, can't knock it for longevity here. It works as good as the day I bought it. Probably still holds a good deal of its value. I'm sure I could sell this for at least 100 US dollars probably, or something like that. Also, I bought it with this thing here. It is considerably slimmer and smaller than the Insta360 Link 2, so again, I don't know why they decided to go super large. The mic quality to my ears doesn't sound any better. Again, hard to recommend the Insta360 Link, especially considering it's, for some reason, it's $179 you can get. It's just outdated tech and you're paying a premium for it. Doesn't make sense. I would go OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite any day of the week over the Insta360 Link. Now, the Logitech MX Brio, I had high hopes for this one because I do love their mouse. Literally bought it for every family member. The MX Master 3S mouse is my favorite mouse by far, as well as I love their keyboard, the MX Master keyboard here. So I had high hopes, but really it is good in the sense that you can adjust it, you can set presets, you can hit whatever angle you want it to hit so that you're always maintaining eye contact. Again, if you use the tip I gave you with regards to pushing the window to the corner of your screen and then leaving yourself some space to do work or to set stuff up for whatever you're going to share while you maintain eye contact when you're talking to whoever it is you're talking to. So it allows you to do that. Plus, it's got a very nifty interface there to hard ensure basically that the camera's off, which is pretty good. But again, you have to do it manually here. But kind of enjoy doing it. It's just satisfying click there. Yeah, it's just unnecessarily wide. Like the image quality isn't any better than any of these other ones. If anything, again, I prefer the OBSBOT color, regardless of if I'm going for their cheapest, like OBSBOT Meet series or the most expensive one. They say it's a Sony sensor in here and stuff like that. I don't really see the benefit of that. It doesn't translate to what I'm looking at on the screen, basically. I prefer the beauty effects, I prefer the color science of the OBSBOT cameras, and I prefer the low light performance of the OBSBOT Tiny 2, which is the most expensive one. It's $100 more expensive than this though. I believe this one is $199, so it's $199 USD. However, again, the software, it's not as good as Insta360 and it's not as good as OBSBOT, so I would sooner go with Insta360 than I would with the Logitech MX Brio. But if I had to choose a camera over this, I would definitely go for the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. Again, the Tiny 2 Lite is probably the webcam for most people, and then the Tiny 2 is the webcam for those with unlimited budget at $299 USD. But again, use the links in the description. I don't know how much you're going to be able to get off. You never know. Use the seifbuys discount code. But yeah, it is pretty satisfying, not gonna lie. Like, it's super wide. Let's see how much wider it is here than this, for example. I don't know if that's showing. Like, that's how much wider it is than the Insta360 linked to. And then that's how much wider it is than the OBSBOT. That's like 1, 2, 3 OBSBOT Tiny 2s, which is the best, biggest sensor webcam. And there's really no discernible benefit in mic quality as far as I could tell. We're not gonna do mic quality tests, sorry. I don't enjoy those on videos. I don't enjoy them in general. You're not the one hearing the mic to begin with. Let's just say with all these, again, I've probably said this before, but I never got any complaints about mic quality using any of these. Now, let's dive into the OBSBOT Meet 2 here. Again, a great camera. Honestly, I love it. Like, it's super small, barely takes up space on your MacBook here, especially if you're mounting it on your MacBook. Let's just show you that firsthand, how convenient it is to mount the OBSBOT Meet 2. It's just super light too, like, which isn't the case with all these other gimbal cameras. You can literally just slap it there and angle it whatever angle you want. So it's magnetic, right? So I would probably do it like that. And then obviously the cover, it's magnetic. So the cover, you just place it on top. And then when it's not in use, you could just slap it at the bottom there of the webcam thing. So pros of this are ease of adjustment. Price obviously is a huge benefit here. You're able to maintain a lot of what's good about the OBSBOT Tiny 2 at $299 USD, but at a much more affordable price here with the Meet 2, $129 USD. And obviously plus the discounts or whatever, it's even less than that. Gives you all of that without the gimbal. So you have no gimbal. And then a major con though for this, like I said before, is no presets. So once I zoom in and like I perfect everything, I have a Zoom call, I put it back to sleep. Now I need to reset it again to make sure it's zoomed right and everything's good. So for that reason alone, I would probably stick with, again, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite over this. Just, what is it? The OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite gives you a gimbal, gives you presets, and it's only $30 more expensive than this. So well worth the upgrade to the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite, in my opinion. Now we'll talk about obviously my favorite webcam here, bar none, the OBSBOT Tiny 2. And you could pretty much, a lot of what I'm gonna say here applies to the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite as well. So you don't have to spend $299, you can spend $159 and get a lot of what I'm raving about here. Just not the voice control, which is, it's a small thing, but definitely not worth the price difference between this OBSBOT Tiny 2 and the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. Because what are you talking about? You're talking about $140 difference between this Tiny 2 and the Tiny 2 Lite as of time of filming. And the only thing I really prefer about it, based on the spec sheet that I could tell, is the fact that it has the voice control. The level of adjustment here is just remarkable. They just perfected the webcam and really look, it's stable on there. And me putting it on the corner, that way I can do the thing I told you, where I can maintain eye contact with them while still simultaneously having screen real estate on my MacBook to be able to do stuff at the same time, to prepare a screen share, to do all of that while maintaining eye contact if I put it off to the corner like that. Alternatively, of course, it works perfectly when you center it off like that. The pros of this, like I said, the main pro that this has that the other OBSBOT cameras don't have is the voice control. And mainly, I'm using the voice control to wake it up and put it to sleep. The voice control, you can also zoom in, you can do a bunch of other stuff, but in actual day-to-day use, the only thing I'm using voice control for is, hey Tiny, is high tiny for it to wake up, and then sleep tiny for it to go to sleep, regardless of where I am. And you can manually push the camera down if you don't want to say sleep tiny. So you can manually push it down. You can, through the software, make it sleep. 3 options really to put it to sleep. Yeah, you want to see what the MX Brio looks like at the top here. It's just, why is it taking up so much space? It's just, let's put them all here actually. Maybe this will make for a cool thumbnail. Put this one too. And then put this one too. So what do we have here? We have Insta360 Link 2, OBSBOT Tiny 2, Logitech MX Brio 4K, OBSBOT Meet 2, and the original Insta360 Link. That's all of the webcams there mounted on the MacBook simultaneously. None are shifting there. All with durable built stand mechanisms there. There you go. I don't think anyone's ever done that. This is actually a great thumbnail opportunity. What you guys are witnessing is a thumbnail in the making. Case in point here, MacBook Pro can handle all of these webcams on simultaneously. So if you had a question about whether it could handle the weight of these, it can. I'm gonna show you them from the front. Get something on there. So yeah, we could show you finally what it looks like from the front there. All the webcams mounted. I hope you found all of that helpful, and I hope I made it clear that OBSBOT is head and shoulders above the rest. It's basically clearly what you get when you have a company focused on one product line, that is webcams, because there is no other way I can explain why OBSBOT is so far ahead of these other ones. And I'm not sure why other reviewers didn't make it that clear. Like, maybe there's something I'm missing, but I don't think so. If you have any questions, this is a small channel, as I said. Drop a comment below. I'll answer whatever questions you have. If you think I was completely off mark here with what I've been saying, also let me know in the comments. Let me know which of these you ended up buying, if you ended up enjoying it. The only webcams I'm recommending here are the OBSBOT Tiny 2 and the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. Those are the ones I would feel completely confident if you bought either one of those and then you say, yes, Safe made me buy that. The other ones, they're good, especially if you stick within the OBSBOT family line, but I cannot in good conscience recommend the Insta360s and the Logitech MX Brio at this current juncture in 2025. Just know that in my use case, the only thing the OBSBOT Tiny 2 has over the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite is the voice control functionality. I know it has a larger sensor and everything like that, but in terms of what I've seen, the main difference I'm gonna notice is, in terms of my quality of life using the camera day in and day out, is just being able to say sleep tiny and high tiny to wake it up. But the Tiny 2 Lite, I'm sure, allows you to manually just shut it down like that, which is the case with pretty much all of these. You can manually block the camera or do it through the software, basically, by putting it to sleep through the app. I have obsessed over these in length. You have my full help there in the comments section. OBSBOT Tiny 2 here is a safe buy. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite is a safe buy. This is Safe Buys, and I will catch you on the next video, guys. Peace.